Well, good morning, everybody. Thanks for joining us for another edition of our weekly real estate backstory. My name is Alan Richardson. I'm the managing broker here at Maximum Realty Partners.
My name is Ming Richardson. I'm a compliance broker for Maximum One Realty and Realtor Partners.
We do the real estate backstory every Monday morning, kind of a good way to start you off for your week, all the comings, the goings, the things happening in the Atlanta real estate market. We wanted to kind of jump in with some of the things going on in our home state. So there's been a lot of realtor conferences and things like that. In Georgia, the state of Georgia has been having some really nice data points that we wanted to share with you. Right now, in the state of Georgia, there was 38,406 jobs created in the last year. And that's a really good thing. The reason that jobs are so important to us here in real estate is because it triggers everything. The more jobs, with a positive job market, we have positive value appreciation. We have, it's a really, really good metric for us to have. And so Georgia continues to be very focused on job development and job creation, and that's really helping to fuel the overall Georgia economy as far as
and last year we had about $24 billion that was invested in Georgia.
Yeah.
So that is a great sign.
Well, and overall, Georgia is the number one state for business, right? We have the number one workforce training program. We have the number one cost of doing business, and the most competitive
labor.
Yeah. And so this is just a really, really good place. So I know that a lot of times the news is never necessarily good when you're talking real estate or things in general, but understand that we are very, very blessed to be exactly where we are.
And once again, real estate is local. So, even though some parts of the United States may have a downturn, but it doesn't mean that the location you're in may experience that.
Keep Georgia on your mind.
That's right. Keep Georgia on your mind.
Now, speaking of Georgia, Governor Brian Kemp just signed. It's kind of a controversial bill, and we're not trying to get into politics, kind of thing. But there is a new school voucher bill that's just been passed, and that allows anyone that's been attending one of the lowest 25% ranked schools by the state of Georgia, they can get a credit of up to $6,500 towards private education. Now, we don't know exactly what this means going forward. I just want to make sure that you understand that this is just passed. You may get some inquiries from parents and from folks looking to,
this actually kind of leave the parents stating that school's no longer a requirement because they're going to put their kids in private school. So that, there's certain school district, the houses are bigger and it's newer, but it's not as pricey as other areas.
Well, if you're going to send your kids to private school, school is a bigger deal. Is the school district necessarily the biggest deciding factor?
Correct.
And so we have no predictions on how this is going to impact the real estate market. We just want to make sure that you realize that this is going on there. We don't want you to be your clients to talk to you and you'd be like, what? kind of thing. Now, CoStar, who is, that's probably the only company that really does scare Zillow. They have gone out and acquired Matterport. And so for the 3D virtual tour, like you can do these amazing virtual tours through property. CoStar is trying to get more into residential real estate. And so this is just another one, like FYI, kind of keep you up to speed about what's going on kind of thing. Now, speaking of Georgia, and right now, and this is something that kind of matters to us so personally, right? So the top
we got a graduating child.
Yeah. So the top 10 cities for recent college graduates, Atlanta comes in at number 8. We have the second best cost of living in the nation, the 7th best highest median income, and the 9th best young people population. So this is a really good place for us to be. Like I said, we do have a college graduate coming up soon, that kind of thing. And so it's just good because, this just shows again that, jobs are good here. People want to stay here. This is a really good thing overall for the housing market. We're very positive about that. So Adam, who is a huge technology company, they came out and they kind of keep track of what is the U.S. homeownership tenure in years. And so we want to keep you in the know. The average homeowner has lived in their home for 7.7 years, just shy of 8 years.
Right.
And so sometimes that bounces up and down. It's been kind of higher ever since like 2006,
Oh, since
yeah, that
yeah,
kind of stuff.
yeah.
We really kind of moved up into much longer tenure, and we understand that. But just that's just kind of a general marketing
So
number
if
to
you
throw
have
out there.
clients, back in when the rates were really good, you might be able to reach out to them if they're looking at moving,
Well,
or they
but
may be looking out for tax.
but if you're going to look at farming a neighborhood, do you want to look at a neighborhood that's only been in existence 4 years? More than likely, no. But a
Probably not.
neighborhood that's been around 7, 8, 9 years, that could be a one that's prime for a little bit of attention by you. So,
So Greg came up with a broker continuing education proposals, meaning the broker, as a broker, licensed broker in the state of Georgia, they're requiring more education. And the purpose was to amend to ensure minimum level of competence from the Georgia licensing broker while conducting real estate brokerage activities.
now take this from two brokers. We think this is great.
We love
I
it.
mean, we couldn't encourage this more. Now, the first thing is that as brokers, we're both brokers, but to get broker training is really tough. Like just
It is.
finding broker training, you can get a little bit through GRAC, you can get some through some different organizations. This new proposal is that basically half of all your continuing education, because uh, brokers still have to have 36 hours. 3 are still going to have to be licensed law. But now 18, the proposal is that 18 has to be broker level type courses. And we think that's really great
Well,
news,
it's like higher education. So, when you're industry, you are responsible for all these people that are placing their license with you. You should always look at what is new and what's going on with the market, what's the legal issues. So,
Well, and again, this is a proposal. This hasn't come out yet, but we really do hope that they adopt this. This is one, and so if you are brokers, associate brokers, by the way, it's going to apply for associate brokers
that's
too.
correct.
Like we're going to have to start looking for these types of classes, and we're even looking at with our school. Is that something that we start teaching? We don't know. I mean, we haven't looked in it yet, but this is definitely something that we're very positive about looking at. So they went out and polled the realtors in the state of Georgia, and they asked a series of interesting questions, and we just kind of wanted to share with you. And speaking of training, they said, what are your sources of training? And roughly 80% of their folks get their training at their brokerage, and we want to encourage you to please do that with us too. Like we have a ton of continuing education classes. We have every Monday morning. We have accountability where we're doing training, coaching, mentoring, all that kind of stuff. So there is a great, we have a lot of resources. Please take advantage of that.
And the way we look at it, this is our community goodwill to our real estate professionals,
Yeah.
because we want you guys to practice right and practice carefully, so you're not, at a risk losing your
Yeah.
license.
Now they said how many designations do they have, and about a third of folks have no designations, and then almost half have one between 1 and 3. Listen, right now NAR is offering free
Uh,
ABR, the
yes.
accredited buyer's representative. The ABR class or course, which is normally a couple $100 kind of thing, is now free for all realtor members. Please take advantage of that. That's a great thing to have on your designations.
Well, if you think about it, that will help you combat some of the issue that we have. Agents have a hard time in talking to
Mm-hmm.
buyers about what their rights are and what their service and the value of the service. So please take an opportunity to go and learn it.
Now, one of the other questions that they asked at Georgia Realtors and Georgia Real Estate Pros was, have you sold any new construction in the past year? And 60% said yes, 40% said no. What's interesting is when they also said, do you have any clients interested in new construction? It was exactly the same percent. 60% of the clients were, 40% weren't. And what we find is that for folks who are comfortable in the new construction space, they really do operate very heavily in there,
And they
kind
love
of thing.
it because you know what? For some of them is You don't have to worry about all these repair issues
Yeah.
and what have you. Just make sure you always encourage your client to have an inspection.
Right. Yeah. Overall, when they said, what are your challenges in new construction? Over half said timing. Timing
Absolutely.
that's a tough one to time the sell and the buy and all that kind of stuff. Trusting developers, working with the new, trusting developers. The second one, third one's working with the new construction contracts. Every contract is geared for all the builders. Their contract is weighted so heavily in their favor. You have to read, and the devil's in the details. As a
Correct.
brokerage, we don't know, and the builders are changing their contracts sometimes monthly, kind of thing. We don't know every single contract. We don't know every single one. You have to read. Well, we're glad to help you with it, but you seriously have to read.
Well, this is where you need to really sit down with your client and read through it and just say, do you have a question on page one, page two?
Yeah,
This may be an hour process. All right. And no, I know it's tedious, but at least your client can make an informed decision at the
yeah.
end of the day.
Now, what's interesting with new construction is at the same time as we're getting this data from the realtors themselves, we're also looking at data on the sales because, right now, when you look at what's happening with new construction sales versus existing home sales, especially in our current, rate environment, new construction sales is continuing to grow into a higher percentage. And so we're seeing that right now, existing home sales is down, new construction sales are up. Now, what do you think is fueling that?
Hmm.
How about interest rates?
Interest rate.
So many of our builders are offering lots of very attractive interest rates right now. And so, right now, like no one is happy with where the interest rates are. They went up another 700ths of a point of a percentage this past week. So
Yep.
we're sitting over seven, easily over seven right now.
Well,
And
just remember that rate is based on a great credit.
yeah,
So if you have shoddy credit or credit below the desirable score,
yeah.
your rates might be higher. I have seen some contract come through right now for around about 8%.
Well, and we got to understand what's going on out there. The Fed is so wrapped up with wanting to get inflation in check.
And control.
And even this past week, the Federal Reserve Chair, Jay Powell, came out and said, "Listen, it's a bumpy road. We are not looking. We know we said we're looking at dropping the rates 3 times, but now we're just not really sure until we see things happening, and then the markets just kind of
It
threw
went
up all over
crazy. If you
themselves,
look
kind of
at
thing."
stock and investment,
Yeah.
they all went down yesterday.
Yep.
So
What we're seeing is that basically our buyers are super sensitive to interest rates, as I completely understand. What we're seeing is the higher the interest rates go, then
they're more reserved.
the more
Yeah.
the more mortgage applications are going
To
down.
down.
They're being much more held back. Do consider new construction. It's a really good place for us to be looking at right now in a high rate environment. So take advantage of that. Now, one
I
of the,
do want to caution one thing about new construction, though. Even though the rates are good, just understand that is part of their sale price.
mhm,
So what they're doing, they're buying down rates based on that sale price.
yes, but I'd love if all our sellers would buy down rates, but
Hey,
but that's a driving
as a
force.
listing agent, you need to have a conversation with your clients about that because if your client can buy down rates for the buyer, guess what? They can afford a house more easily than at a higher interest rate. And at the end of the day, if it's an even exchange on net proceed, what's the difference?
So back to the Georgia Realtors questionnaires kind of thing. We asked the real estate pros here in the state, how much do you plan on spending in marketing for the next year? And it was kind of all across the board. Basically between $0 and $400 a month. But about 61%, or basically 2/3 of realtors, are planning on spending more in marketing this year than they did last year. Now, what worries me is actually the next question that came out was they said, yeah, okay, well then what's your biggest marketing challenge? And for the
Quality
vast
lead.
majority of realtors, 54%, the number one marketing challenge was generating high quality leads. And this is part of the problem that we see in our industry right now, is that everyone thinks that the business is wrapped up around leads, and it's wrapped up around referrals. It's wrapped up around
Relationship.
relationships. It's really where it comes down to. And so the idea that there's this easy button for real estate, leads account for roughly about 9% of real estate transactions. And I'm not saying 9% of any market is
It's nothing,
insignificant.
right? But it's not your majority.
I mean, 2/3 on average of our business comes from people we know and people that know us, from referrals and past clients. And so I just see where we spend a lot of time, a lot of money, a lot of energy working on these magical leads. And what we really find out is it really comes down to relationships. We're going to encourage you to please take advantage of coming in and being part of our top 50. We have a top 50 marketing program and accountability program we do every Monday morning right after Backstory in all of our offices. And it's to help you generate and build a referral business. That's where the real value comes here in real estate. And honestly, it's a fun way to do real estate. You're talking to people you'd like, people that like you, and people that you want to work with. It's not about cold leads, cold calling, all that kind of
Or
stuff.
that ambiguity.
Yeah. So,
I mean, this is a relationship.
Yeah, this is one of those that really kind of bothers us, because we see so many people that are hung up on leads, and really what it comes down to is relationships.
And also, sometimes when you get those leads, because of personality differences, I can tell you that you're not going to always communicate correctly with those leads. So, if you can foster your relationship, I think that go a long way.
Yeah. Now, one other area where we kind of want to get into is there is a 1,000-watt survey, and it's a real estate tech company, and they went out and they surveyed. Now, they didn't survey everybody, okay, and let me explain what I mean by that. But they surveyed people that didn't think that they needed to have a real estate professional. So the percentages that I'm going to share with you, this does not mean that everyone feels this way.
These are the ones that already made up their mind.
These are the folks who say, I don't need no realtor to do my business, like that kind of stuff. And so they went out and they said, why do you feel that the services of a real estate agent are not necessary when buying a home? And let's be honest, do you have to have an agent to buy a home? Nope. No, you don't, kind of thing. And so we have to understand that there is a certain perception out there, and some of it is justified, right? Like we need to be professionals in our industry, and we need everyone to be professionals in our industry because they carry the water for everyone here. And so one bad apple can ruin the entire bunch, right? And so we have to understand that, when they asked this, 45% of people said, because I can find the homes myself online, and I can even open and look at them in open houses. 38% because it seems simpler for me just to work with the agent that represents the seller. And
what they forget, the context of that word is representing seller. They're not representing the buyer.
16% said, you know what? I don't think it's that tough. I think I can do it myself. So let's just break these down. And so 45% of the folks said because they can find themselves online and then tour them in open houses. Well, we do have some new rule changes coming up here. And so will people be able to or are we still going to have open houses? We will. There'll be some different processes and steps for doing that. But and we need to be the ones that are sharing properties out with our clients. Every agent needs to have a property, needs to be sending out property alerts for every one of their clients, because it's the number one thing that our buyers want. And so as long as we're letting them find all the properties online and we're not making recommendations and we're not helping them with the searching process, then they're like, well, what are you doing for me anyway? 38% said that it seems simpler to work with a listing agent. Well, the listing agent represents who?
Seller.
The seller. And so even as a listing agent, do I want to represent my seller and have to represent my buyer for free?
No.
And then do I also want to take the liability that comes with having to do that? And then, 16% of, there's always going to be certain people who don't value us, right? And I can't do anything about that. other than the fact that we can be a professional group that really does care for our clients first. If someone's not going to value, I'm not going to waste my effort on trying to make them value me. Then I'm
Correct.
going to go find someone that I want to work with that will value my services. What we have to understand is we need to be talking about the value that we bring to a transaction. How necessary that we really are. Right now our first time buyers, our veteran buyers, like that's one of the people who I worry most about from the the settlement statements and the NAR lawsuits and all that, is that folks will have this idea that they don't need representation, and that's the group that needs the most representation. They don't even know what they don't know, and so those are the things that worries me. We need to be able to talk about our value. It's so important that we're able to clearly articulate the value that we have, that we use our buyers presentations, our listing presentations, that we have processes and systems, and that we really do care for our clients. It's crucial.
Absolutely.
So now,
more than 3/4, 77% of millennial renter plan to move in the next 3 years. So you guys,
that's
this is
a
huge market.
Like 65%, 2/3 of all renters plan to move in the next 3 years. This is a prime market to be looking at, right?
Absolutely.
I mean, like this is a really, really big deal. Now we know affordability is a huge issue, right? We completely get that. But overall, 65% of renters, if they could buy, would buy.
Absolutely.
Right now, there's always about a third of folks are just love being renters. I don't understand that personally.
No responsibility.
I guess so, but like at some point you're going to want to have some value appreciation.
But
so,
what? That's called age and maturity sometimes, because when we're young, we did the same thing.
Yeah, we did some dumb things. We still do dumb things.
Yeah.
All right. So overall, we went from buyers and renters. Now we're gonna talk about sellers here really quick. So NAR went out and they polled a bunch of sellers and said, how long have you been thinking about selling your home? And what I found very interesting kind of thing is over half have been thinking about it for over a year.
A year to 2 years.
1 to 2 years, right? And a third, 32%, between 2 and 3 years. So we're talking about 80% of sellers have been thinking about selling for the last 3 years. It has to be
that right moment and that right conversation.
Well,
so do you understand what relationship can foster if they've been thinking about it?
Yeah, I mean, like we need to be reaching out, even though folks may not necessarily be ready to sell. When they are, folks are. I mean, like this says that 80% of homeowners are thinking about selling right now.
Absolutely.
Doesn't mean that they're going to. But this is why we reach out. This is why we engage, kind of thing. Right now, for the folks that do have their home, that are wanting to sell, roughly 80%, 77% wish that they had put it on the market sooner.
Yep.
Right. And so we need to make sure that we're out there offering these services and talking about it, kind of thing. Right now, about half of our sellers feel locked in due to a low interest rate. Who's not locked in? The folks who have a ton of equity. They're not worried about interest rates at all. And a lot of our sellers, especially our boomer sellers, they have a ton of equity.
Yep.
Or they may own their home all the way outright, kind of thing. Overall, we know that interest rates are a big deal to our buyers. We also have to understand interest rates are a big deal to our sellers too.
Yes, because some seller do have to sell to in order to buy, they have to sell.
Yeah.
So
roughly 75% of our sellers are also going to turn around and be buyers.
Correct.
Now, if they don't have enough equity to bring forward the entire purchase, then of course interest rates are really going to be a big impact for them. We completely understand.
And let's talk about interest rate really quick. So if you have a seller that have an incredible interest rate, you might want to think about loan assumption. Okay.
Yeah.
But
at least offer it.
At least offer it, but let them know what's going on.
Yep. So when they said, okay, for Mr. and Mrs. Seller, why are you planning on selling your home? The number one reason. Money.
Yeah.
They want to make a profit, right? After that, they want to move for family, more space, less space, that kind of stuff. But, and then profit again. So, yeah, I just found that was, like we have to understand, this is why we do a net to seller sheet when we meet with our sellers.
So, what another question was, if you're not planning to purchase, what are you planning to do next year? And when I thought the highest response was, I already have somewhere else I love that I own. So, remember during the really great interest rate
Yep.
period, there were a ton of folks that buying second homes. So, this is where the asset is being acquired.
One concern we have is right now about 30 something percent of folks are like, well, I'll just go rent.
Mm-hmm.
That is like home. I mean, like wealth creation in the United States is tied up in home ownership. To sell and rent does not make any sense out there.
Yep.
You know. Now, the good part here is that a lot of our sellers are coming into the reality, and they
Yeah.
said, which of the following do you expect to happen as a result of selling your home in 2024? About 30% expect to get their asking price. Last year, that was 47%, right? 25% expect the buyers to forego contingencies and inspections and appraisals to make the deal happen. I don't think that's realistic at all. 25% of our sellers think, you know what, that it'll all just work.
Well, I'm gonna get more than what I'm
Yeah.
asking for, and
Well,
that's not reality today. Just because the buyer can't afford a monthly payment.
20%, expect to get more than asking. We still have 15% expect to get an all cash offer
Within a week.
Well, and I can get you an all cash offer. You won't like it.
Well, this is what I told one of my agents the other day. Speed costs money. Convenience costs money. So if your client is okay and down value the property that they have, then yes, investor will love to get off your hand.
Well, 10% of folks expect a bidding war to happen. But listen, a bidding war happens if you're priced at the right price. The whole
Correct.
idea of I'm going to put it out there at this ridiculous price and then expect a bidding war. Look, we have to be honest with our sellers about the marketplace and where they're operating in. Because if you aren't honest with your sellers, they blame you.
Sure.
They come back and they're like, why isn't my house sold? Why don't I have multiple offers in here? What do you mean they're going to do inspections? Of course they're going to do inspections. We need to make sure that we are preparing our clients, that sometimes they have these perceptions and these ideas out there. And the challenge for listing agents is that if we don't prepare them for that, I promise you, they blame us.
Absolutely.
Because this is their expectation.
This is part of the education consultation.
Yeah.
The more relationship you have, the more conversation you will have about a subject matter.
Yeah.
And therefore, it's like anything else. When you're constantly told certain thing, at some point it's going to sink in.
Well, but sometimes we have sellers that are in one market and they want to compare out other markets.
Right, and that's
well, it's
not
a seller's market.
Mhm.
Well, once you get up over about $700,000, it's a buyer's market kind of thing.
That may not be the case for Atlanta versus LA
Well,
or Miami.
But even price point is a big difference. We're seeing right now where luxury property is, we have a ton of supply. Right now, we're sitting on about 3.5 months of overall standing inventory. In luxury, we have 12 months of standing inventory right now.
So typically 6 months is even balance. So when you got 12 months, guess what?
It's a buyer's market.
It's a buyer's market.
Yeah. So overall, we're still seeing property values appreciate, which we're very glad, but it's at a much more modest rate of appreciation now. Right now we're seeing where, like overall average home price appreciation is running, closer into that 3 to 5% range. I think we may even start leveling off. I think being a little bit flatter, just because we are seeing inventory increase kind of across the board right now. Now, what was very interesting out there is the Lance Lambert House Price Tracker went out, and they track all metro prices by county. And this is, we're going to share with you what happened in the Atlanta area. And what you're seeing is anything in gray had more modest appreciation. Basically, everything outside of Atlanta grew much faster than inside Atlanta, which is interesting. So, our burbs and our small towns and our rural saw greater property value appreciation
Absolutely.
since our peak in 2022. So it's still holding steady. We still want to get away, kind of thing. So overall, pending sales is still down right now, but we know why that is. It's the interest rates is kicking us right in the teeth at the moment. New listings, however, they're up 10%, and
Over last year.
we're really glad to see that. And we're seeing where overall total inventory really is
Coming up.
it's moseying higher, right? It is kind of inching up. So we are glad to see that. However, even though we're seeing 10% higher new listings, and right now we're sitting on about I think right now we're up almost 20% over last year where we were here in Georgia. You have to understand that we are still sitting. We're
Negative.
down 40% from where we were pre-pandemic.
So
So
we're
we're
all the way
getting better.
down
We're getting better.
20% since
But
pre-demic.
and honestly, the market was good pre-pandemic, right? So this is not doom and gloom, but I'm hearing people talk about, oh, this inventory is increasing. That's really going to drive prices down. Okay, yeah, I agree. It's a supply demand issue, but we're still down here. We got to get up here before we even get to where we were before the pandemic, right? So one other interesting data point that we found, or actually two. First one is that 43, almost half of our pending sales are under contract in 2 weeks. We're in the spring buying season. This is the time where we have more people putting their home on the market, more people buying right now. It's a great time to be out and be engaged. So good properties priced right in good areas, selling quickly.
Yep.
Now, at the exact same time, we have more properties with price reductions now than we've had for the last 10 years. Right. And so so for the folks that are throwing it out there, you know what? Let's just try this. Let's just put it out here. God told me I could sell it at this price, whatever it may be. If we're putting it out there, and if it's not based on reality, if we're not pulling a comparative market analysis and showing what other homes in that same area are selling for, and just throwing it out there, guess what's happening? It's not selling.
It's
right?
not doing a whole lot.
It comes down to price, condition, and location. That's those basics still hold true for us out there. So overall, we're seeing that you can see that switching over to the investor mode kind of thing. This is we want to share with you the percentage of home sales that were flips in the Atlanta area. Roughly about 13%.
13.4.
Right.
Yep.
Now,
which is much higher than the U.S. overall, which is currently running about 7.7.
Yeah. However, that's down about 10%
from what it was.
Yeah, from where it was last year. It's a 10% drop compared to where it was last year. So, it's a mixed bag when you're talking about flippers, right? Because on one hand, they are helping to increase value. They are offering a product that's needed out there, but we also know that's they tend to take up the properties that eat up our new construction. I mean, our first-time buyer inventory. Yeah. So overall, right now there is a pretty significant shift in the share of single-family homes owned by investors. We've seen that, like right now in Atlanta, we are still one of the biggest markets out there, kind of thing. Actually, we're the second biggest market out there as far as the largest number of single-family owned homes in the nation. For a long time, it was us in Phoenix. Memphis is number one, but we come in at a solid number two, and that number is still continuing to increase. That makes it a challenge for our first-time buyers. It really does. On the commercial side, corporate demand is coming back in a lot of cities, except for not Atlanta right now. We're not on the positive side of
not
things
yet.
Like we want to be. We're not as bad as some of the others, kind of thing, but we are still in the negatives right now as far as
the graph.
as far as that goes. Now this next week, we have our 25-hour post license up at our airport office all next week. And so on Monday, in addition to that, we have our lead generation in today's market. That's going to be at the airport office Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Monday is going to be lead generation. Wednesday is going to be technology and marketing secrets. Friday is going to be business planning.
Guys, I know I harp on this a lot, but if you don't have a business plan, how are you going to run your business? Mm-hmm. So this is one of the class I highly encourage. It's also a self-reflection on what is it that you're trying to go for?
Yeah.
So I highly encourage you guys to come on Friday.
Now, in addition, on Thursday, we have remodels, rehabs, and new construction, how not to get ripped off. That's a great class. That's over in our Noonan office. So please get your training, get all the information you need. Know that we are here to help you. If you guys have any kind of questions or we can be of any kind of assistance, please call, text, smoke signals, and we hope you guys have a fantastic week. Love y'all. Talk to you soon.
Happy Monday. Take care.